Welcome back to the Everything is Black and White podcast. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm Andrew Musgrove. I'm joined by John Gibson for the match preview. And once again, we're talking about Newcastle United facing Manchester City. This time it's in the FA Cup with a place in the quarterfinals up for grabs. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff on Saturday, another late one. But Newcastle do bounce into this game, having beaten Manchester United 2-1. And that is the perfect way to prepare for the visit of Manchester City. John, welcome back to the podcast. Did you enjoy Wednesday night and Newcastle beating the Red Devils?
Immensely. Enjoyed it immensely. It was like pulling this switch, wasn't it? Flicking it and going back to what we do at our best. And it was a magnificent performance, I felt, from the goalkeeper right away through to the sub-centre forward. It was absolutely terrific. What's got me scratching my head, though, if I'm truthful, Andrew, is why must the world have to be against us following a string of very poor, bad home defeats before we discover fire? You know, it's so frustrating because when we play the way we can play, we're truly terrific. But we played well the first half before Ramsey was sent off, but we needed the crowd raging at injustice and the players picking up on that. All of a sudden, they were Duracell bunnies. They were running relentlessly everywhere. They looked like the team with 10 men, not us. And all the performances were absolutely outstanding. But while it was truly tingling in the atmosphere in the ground itself when Ursula scored the winner at the death was phenomenal. But it's just so frustrating that there are other occasions when the temperature's much lower and the game's less high profile and we sort of just dream into the game and become complacent, make mistakes. And it's so frustrating to me. I'm so elated last night, but when you think back, I think, why can't we do that more often? Do we need the world against us? I hope they keep this siege mentality to go into Manchester City because it works. You can't always have a siege mentality, but we certainly did against Man U, and justifiably so, because the sending off was an absolute disgrace, in my opinion. He didn't dive, he stumbled. He stumbled and his right leg went away from under him. But of course, you can't review yellow cards, so it stands unchallenged on the night. So there we are. But we came out of it with the right result, and what a lifter that is.
Yes, certainly so. So I suppose the next question, John, is which player are you sacrificing to get wrongly sent off on Saturday to make sure Newcastle do indeed have that season mentality?
Yeah, it's about we need that injustice, don't we? And I'm hoping that Eddie will fire up to try to keep the siege mentality by playing on the fact that City done us home and away to rip the League Cup out of our hands, and how dare they? And wasn't that awful? And do we want a repeat of that? And we've already beaten Manchester City at home in a one-off game this season, and this is another one-off, not a two-leg. So let's go and play the revenge card with them in the dressing room. We were done and tucked up by them in the League Cup. They took our beautiful trophy away from us that it took 70 years to win, and now we owe them one for that. And I hope we can keep the siege mentality going that way, perhaps, Andrew.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We've certainly not had the best of luck against Man City in recent months. Of course, beat them, though, earlier in the season up at St James's Park. So it can be done. The first question, John, regarding team selection. You, for the match preview ahead of Manchester United, begged Eddie Howe to drop Nick Pope, bring in Aaron Ramsdale. Aaron Ramsdale did a smashing job against Manchester United. 3 or 4 absolutely crucial saves. Is it even a question? Is he in net against City?
Of course, you can't drop him after that. If you pick him on displays and you look at Pope's last display and his last display, there's only one goalkeeper can play. I'm not wanting to have a huge dip at Pope, who can produce good saves, but he's always got a clanger in him as well. And that showed. And I did. I made a stand for Ramsdale, and thankfully Eddie felt the same way. And took the brave decision to bring him in, and I felt he fully justified it. He was outstanding with some brilliant stops, 3 superb fingertip saves. He was very good with his feet, and it was the best performance he's had for us since he came here. So I was thrilled to bits about that, and there's no question he's got to play. There was really the bookends for me with a display of Ramsdale and the display of the super sub Usula going on. But in between, I mean, that's the best I've seen Trippier play for ages. That was the Trippier of old, the one that we knew when he first come to Newcastle. Uh, Byrne, who I thought looked tired and exhausted and therefore Trundler, suddenly found extra wind and did great. Joe Linton was the Joe Linton we love. 2 players rolled into one. The man mountain doing what he does best. Tonali, no wonder he had cramp at the end and had to hobble off because there wasn't a blade of grass that he hadn't introduced himself to during the whole game. So there was good performance followed by good performance followed by good performance. And I'm hoping that the adrenaline that they got from doing that to Manchester United, first defeat under Carrick, will carry them into the other manager, stalking this business about what they did to us in the League Cup. Surely we're not going to let them put us out of both domestic cups this season, and therefore up we get again, and away we get at it. And it's a very small thing, Andrew, but 8 o'clock on a Saturday night will do for me. It's awful for a lot of people. It's a bad time, but under lights, atmospheric, it's the same sort of setup in terms of time of day, etc., as the other Manchester, and that might just work for us instead of a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, the conditions, late kickoff under the lights, as well as beating Manchester United, it's all serving up hopefully something very nice indeed for Newcastle come 10:15 on Saturday evening. Sticking with team selection, John. On one hand, you go, well, you can't change the side after the performances of, and even of everybody that started and came off the bench. On the other hand, you've got Barcelona coming up, Chelsea, Barcelona, and then Sunderland, games coming thick and fast. What does Eddie Howe do? Does he go unchanged as best he can do? Does he look to rotate? Does he play some of the kids perhaps? It's a difficult one, isn't it?
No, it's not a difficult one. He plays his best side because we're in the FA Cup and we might win the FA Cup. We're not going to win the Premier League. We're not going to win the Champions League, although we do live on Fantasy Island because the final's in Budapest and think we do. It'll take a Herculean effort to get through against Barcelona over 2 games. I always think you got more chance over a one-off game. This is a one-off game and we're at home and it's got to be settled at home. We don't go to City. If we are going to win a trophy this season, and by the way, we haven't forgot about winning the trophy last season and what that felt like, have we? If we're going to do that again, and we can because we're in the quarterfinals if we beat Man City, then it's now or never. This is the competition where we can win something. So forget about Barcelona. We'll think about Barcelona on Sunday morning. At the moment, keep us in the FA Cup, and therefore you field your best side to make us win. I'm hoping that Manchester City might go the other way, because they can't win all 4 competitions they're still in. That just doesn't happen. So what's their priorities? What's Pep's priorities? He'll still think he's got a chance in the league, although he blew it by being held with Forest while Arsenal won away. But he'll still think he's got a chance because he's got a game and a half, game in hand to reduce the points there. So he's still chasing his beloved, regaining his beloved Premier League championship. He is in with a chance, in his eyes, of winning the Champions League. He's in the final of the Carabao Cup, so surely the FA Cup's 4th on his pecking order. It's first on our pecking order because it's only one we can win. So maybe they will not field the best side, or the players will have other things on their mind, other competitions. With us, we've got to be one-eyed. We've got to put the blinkers on, look at this game and say, this is it. This is now. This is what we must do. And this is what will turn the season round in the eyes of the fans. If we win this, we'll have had a good season. If we, not this one game, I mean the FA Cup, but we're not going to win the Champions League and we're not going to win the Premier League. So let us go with our strongest side and get past City on Saturday night.
So it's prioritising the FA Cup above all
in my eyes, it is. In my eyes. In some people's eyes, it'll be the Champions League. But if we sacrifice this for the Champions League and then go out to Barca and narrowly with our heads held high, having won the home leg, we're still going to wake up on March 18th or whenever it is and be out of everything by the Premier League running.
So, I mean, you look at the side, I assume you're saying just stick with the side that started against Manchester United. Obviously, Ramsey will be missing, so we have to replace him. But in terms of the formation, because sometimes, obviously, when you play City, you go, well, let's have 3 centre-backs and the 2 wing-backs. But are you're sticking to how he lined up against Manchester United, Jacob Ramsey?
I am, to be truthful. I mean, the only thing, I would keep the formation. The only things that might be open to doubt or open to discussion, and I don't think it's Ramsdale or Pope after the way Ramsdale handled it, it's who comes into your midfield, and I would suggest that you bring Willock in because he was part of that great second half when we were playing with 10 men and we did what we did. And it's where there's some people would start with the Sula because it's centre forward because he scored that wonder goal. I mean, I've thought about him. I think he's still raw. He's got this wonderful abilities to score a goal like that. Remember, he did that earlier, didn't he, in the season, scored a wonder goal. He can do that. But I think I wouldn't want to start him. This is purely my opinion. I wouldn't want to start him because the naivety against a very cute and streetwise side like City, he might be running down cul-de-sacs. I think he's a perfect impact sub because he can come off the bench when teams are tired. And his pace counts for so much more, Andrew, when teams are tired and he's fresh. They run ragged. From the start, when he's quick, they're still fresh as well, so they can be relatively quick and they can be cleverer than him, so he's negated a little bit. I think he's a great impact sub. Interesting, wasn't it, that he come on ahead of Wissa, and aren't we delighted that he did? But it tells you where Issa and Voltemada are standing at the moment, recent team selections. But I think he'd be an impact sub, so I wouldn't start him, and I would play Willock for Ramsey and then just go with the rest as it was. Who deserves to be dropped?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. I mean, the Sula one's really interesting. I agree with you. I think starting him from the off, especially against a side like Manchester City, just doesn't work because you have to be so organised and disciplined from the front. And Anthony Gordon does that to a really good degree in terms of the pressing and just being organised. I'm not sure Sula at the moment is quite there. Even against Manchester United, you could see Eddie Howe was really, really animated on the touchline, and he was constantly directing Sula in terms of where he needed to be when Manchester United had the ball. Obviously, I think bringing him off the bench when he did was to just to use that legs, to use the energy, and that like you say, he could be a good impact player when defenses are feeling tired. Interesting, I guess, with Wissa and Voldemort, obviously, we don't want to delve into too much, but I guess you're looking from Sula offers something different to what those two do now in terms of goal scoring. Those two are ahead of Sula in terms of ability, but I think what Newcastle needed against Manchester United and what they might need come, hopefully, maybe an hour or so against City is someone whose main kind of attribute is that pace, is that unpredictability. There's no way you're going to see Johan Wissa pick the ball up on the right flank and run on down and then cut inside into it with his left foot. And there's certainly no chance you're going to see Voldemort doing that. So I think all kind of different players bring different styles to the game, but certainly wouldn't be starting Sula up top. I guess, John, the question is, for me, is how important was the win against Manchester United in terms of building that momentum. You see it prioritising the FA Cup ahead of anything else. But I mean, just the league table itself, Newcastle United are probably still out of the conversation for the Champions League, maybe even the lesser trophies as well. But, a win at least has them a little bit closer to that.
Oh, yes, without a shadow of doubt. One swallow doesn't make a summer. Because we've produced the performance we produced last night doesn't mean that we're not in danger of doing another Everton or another Brentford or another Aston Villa, which was the 3 home defeats that we had. It doesn't mean automatically that we'll beat Man City and beat Barcelona in the next 2 home games. Not at all. But I tell you what, it gives us some hope. Had we lost it at home to Manchester United, how would we have gone into these games? With absolute fear or low in the snake's belly. I mean, the way I looked upon it after we lost to Everton was that we had the Super Six coming up. That was the next 6 games. And when I say Super Six, against super opposition, important games, and which could terrify us if we were. But we've got off on a magnificent foot against Manchester United. We've now got Man City at home in the FA Cup, Barca at home in the Champions League, Chelsea away, Barca away, and then the derby at home. That's the next 5 games. That was the 6. Now that's huge. Every single game. The Sunderland one, because it's a derby, obviously. The first home one since Yonk's. But they're all huge games. And if we went into those games having had our colour felt by Manchester United, it would be horrendous. At least we're stepping into it in the right frame of mind. And if we can knock Manchester City out of the FA Cup, be it on 90 minutes, be it in extra time, or be it on penalties even, then we go into Barca in a totally different frame of mind, having won our last 2 against the 2 Manchesters, wouldn't we?
Yes, indeed. And it would be a great way to welcome Barcelona to St James's Park by beating Manchester City. As you mentioned, not in the best they were, but then obviously they dropped points against Nottingham Forest. And like you say, I do think the fact that the title is just slipping away from them may be a distraction. And certainly in terms of the ranking of priorities, the FA Cup, I don't think will be high on Pep's list. But then he'll be wanting a reaction from that 2-2 draw with Nottingham Forest, won't he, John? He'll be wanting to see the players step up and rid themselves of that bad result. Before I get your score prediction, I want to ask you, what would winning the FA Cup mean to you?
Well, to an old fogey, it means everything. I think it means things to young fogies as well. But to an old fogey who was brought up in the wonderful days of the FA Cup, who sat as a little lad and watched us win it 3 times in 5 years, whose hero was Jackie Milburn, one of the great cup final heroes of all time as far as Newcastle United are concerned, 3 times winner at Wembley. It is a magical competition. Much more magical than the League Cup. It's got a deeper history in the League Cup. The League Cup's wonderful when you win it. And by Jove, did I enjoy last season. But to win this one, which is the history of football, is all wrapped up when it started with a league and an FA Cup. They were the 2 things. We didn't have Europe originally. We didn't have a League Cup originally. Historically, it's the English Football League and the FA Cup. And the FA Cup's everything, and it's a huge day at Wembley, and it's like a finale to the season. And just to see Newcastle win things, Andrew, for goodness sake, we've waited long enough. I don't want the young fans of today to have the wait I've had, since 55 domestically and 69 for anything whatsoever until last season. And therefore, winning this trophy, it's the blue ribbon of competition. Throughout the world, everybody says, because we invented the game, England, everybody says throughout football, the FA Cup is a special tournament. It is watched the final, whether you're in Brazil or anywhere in Europe, or you're in Australia or Africa or Asia. Everybody wants to watch the FA Cup final. And for us to be one of the 2 clubs privileged to be playing in that, would be absolutely phenomenal. I have gone since 55 to Wembley in 98 and seen us lose, and go to Wembley in 99 and seen us lose in the FA Cup. So close and yet so far. I was there in 74, of course, with the Supermax side that lost. Let's take that one extra step, and we want to win things. And that's why I'm praying that, and I'm certain that he'll do it, by the way, but I'm praying that Eddie won't prioritise Barcelona over the FA Cup and play the weekend. I don't think for one moment, by the way, Andrew, he'll do that. A, he always likes the next game to come, and B, he's nobody's fool. Does he think that we've got a greater chance of winning the Champions League than we have of winning the FA Cup? I don't think so. So let's win the FA Cup. Let's also have a real go in the Champions League and shock Barca, and who knows what can happen. But let's not throw this opportunity away, because we could ruin. If on March 18th we are out of everything because we've lost to Barca over 2 legs and we've let ourselves go out the FA Cup, what have we got for the last month and a bit of the season? Next to now. Let's keep this alive, because we get through this, we can win this FA Cup.
And that's the final question, John. Are Newcastle United going to beat Manchester City and get a place in the quarterfinals?
Yes. And I know, and for once, when you ask that question, and we ask it every week when we preview the games, what's the score going to be? I'm going to say to you, I don't care. Because there's no goal difference that's any incentive, like winning at home in the league. Let's win 6-0. Beating Barca next Tuesday, let's win 6-0 rather than 3-0, because it helps the away leg. This is just win. I don't care if we win comprehensively in 90 minutes, whether we win with an own goal in extra time, or whether we win because Asula knocks in the last penalty in the penalty shootout. I don't care. All that matters is getting through. And so don't ask me what the score will be, whether it'll be 90 minutes or extra time or penalties, because I'll say it again, I don't care. But I do. I fancied Newcastle against City more than I did against Man United before we played Man United. I just had a feeling that City can not prioritise this, aren't quite the team they used to be. And I know we said that before the semi-finals of the League Cup, but that disaster up here when we lost 2-0 in the first leg of the League Cup finished the second leg totally. The thing was gone. This is different. This is a one-off. City can't take us to their place. They've got to win here again, like they did in the League Cup. I don't think that's automatic. And if we can bottle that feeling that we had against Manchester United, which is why I hope Eddie goes down the revenge routine. They did us a great disservice and took our blessed cup off us. So let's get revenge. I think we'll get through. I think it'll take a monumental effort like the one we produced against Manchester United. But I think we'll sneak through.
Well, fingers crossed we do. Let us know in the comments your thoughts. Will Newcastle United progress in the FA Cup? Just a reminder, this episode is sponsored by NordVPN and Saily, the 2 products that will enhance your trip abroad. NordVPN provides that added extra element of security, 1 subscription, 10 devices, where Saily is an eSIM which provides you the network coverage at an affordable price with more than 200 destinations to choose from. If you want a discount offer on both products, do hit the link in the podcast description box. For myself and John, we'll see you guys next week. Head to the game with Barcelona at St James's Park in the Champions League. Keep yourself safe out there, and here's keeping everything crossed that Newcastle United make it through to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup.